Hi, it's Parker with ScreenBeam, and in this video I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the ScreenBeam 1100 Plus. The 1100 Plus is our latest wireless display receiver. It supports any kind of device that you might expect to see in a huddle space, classroom, meeting room, conference room, you name it. We've designed the 1100 Plus to be the easiest device to use to get that content from your small screen to your larger shared displays. In this video, I'm going to give you just a quick run through how to get connected with different kinds of devices. I'm going to talk about a couple key features on the 1100 Plus, and then I'm going to let you take it from there and decide what more information you want to know. So let's start out with a Windows 10 device, because I'm sure this is, a pretty hefty percentage of everybody's use case. So in Windows 10, the technology we use is called Miracast. It's built into the operating system, nothing to download, nothing to install, and nothing to download or install for these other devices as well. But let me show you how to get connected. So in Windows, on my laptop, I just hit the Windows key and the letter K. That opens up the Connect menu. If you don't want to remember a shortcut, you can come over to the notifications icon in the lower right corner, and then you can click on the Connect tile, and now I'm going to see a list of available Miracast devices near me. So I'm going to pick my ScreenBeam from the list. You can see the name really big up there. And you can customize that name to make it really easy. And now I'm being prompted to enter the PIN. And you've got some configuration options around the PIN so that you can customize this a bit depending on your deployment scenario. So once I get connected, you'll notice I just got a message about touchscreen drivers. And this is a cool thing. It only works in Windows. But as you see on the PC too, I've got a little checkbox for allow mouse and pen and touch. So just in Windows, because this is a touchscreen display and I've connected the USB touch to the ScreenBeam, I can wirelessly use inking and touch from this display to control my Windows laptop. And that makes for really great collaborative experiences because it's all integrated into the operating system. So if you're in a meeting and you're using PowerPoint and you're working with your team and you say, you know what, I think we need to make some changes here. I've got a pen. I'm just going to come in real big. I'm going to say, we need to simplify. Let's get rid of this top line, less. What's happening is that inking and annotation that's on the display is actually living in the PowerPoint app on the laptop. So whenever I've done anything, it's just been real-time transmitted right back. So when you're done with this meeting and you save this PowerPoint, which I can just do with a touch of a finger, that inking and annotation lives in this PowerPoint. So it makes it really easy to capture those meeting notes to make sure that you're keeping your team on the same page. When you're done with your connection, you can just hit the Windows key and the letter K again to reopen the Connect menu. One thing I almost forgot to tell you. One of the great things, because this is natively integrated to the operating system, let's say you don't want to have the same content on your laptop and on the display in the room. You just hit the Windows key and the letter P to open the project menu, and you switch from duplicate mode to extended screen mode. And now you've got content here on your laptop, and you have separate content here on the shared display. So this is great if you're in a meeting and you want to be able to have notes on your device, but shared meeting content up here on the display. So almost forgot to mention that. But let's get disconnected. I'm just going to Windows key K, and I'm going to touch disconnect in the Connect menu. And now let's move on. I've got a MacBook here, and my MacBook is just going to connect using AirPlay. I'm connected to the same Wi-Fi network that the ScreenBeam is connected to. We also have the option for the ScreenBeam to broadcast its own SSID. And if you want, you could bridge that to provide internet access through that SSID. But to keep things simple for this video, I'm on the same Wi-Fi that the ScreenBeam is. I just click on the AirPlay option, and I click on the ScreenBeam from the list of AirPlay devices. Again, I have a PIN code that I need to type in. So I'm going to type in my PIN, and I'm going to press OK. And now, in just a second, the content from my MacBook is also up here on the screen. And whatever application I'm using doesn't matter because, again, this isn't an app I'm running on my MacBook. I'm just using the native wireless display that's built in. And another cool feature, again, because it's native, similar to Windows, if I come up to the wireless display options, I can choose to use as a separate display. So now one set of content on my MacBook, a different set of content up here on the shared display. So exactly those same scenarios where this can be a device where I'm taking notes or still doing something, but I'm also sharing content with a group at the same time. When I'm done, back up, stop AirPlay, and that's it. We're good. A lot of IT that I talk to are increasingly becoming focused on and planning for mobile devices in conference meeting classroom spaces. And so I want to show you just with an iPad, it's a little bit bigger and easier to see. So again, my iPad is already on my Wi-Fi network. I'm swiping to get the control center, if I can get my swipe direction right. And I'm going to touch the screen mirroring icon. The ScreenBeam is going to pop up in the list. I'm going to tap it. And I'm going to get prompted to enter that code. And press OK. And now the content from my iOS device is up there on the screen. And as you can see, the content is maintaining the aspect ratio, so you're not getting any sort of like warped, strange-looking images. If we go in and use rotation, we'll see that the screen follows the rotation. So now we're getting more of that content in view. And the really powerful thing is when you take into account things you can do in Office 365. So I've got the PowerPoint app on my iPad, and I've got a slideshow, and now I can start running that show, and it looks full screen, looks great. And on my iPad, I've got my speaker notes, I can see the slides that are coming up, and I can see the content that's being shared. So that works, exactly the same way on an iPhone. So it makes this device become something that you can bring into a conference room and actually drive a meeting with nothing more than your mobile device. So really, really cool when you combine and leverage tools like Microsoft Office 365 with wireless display. When I'm done here, I'm just going to swipe down, screen mirroring, stop mirroring. It's as simple as that. And now we're back to the ready to connect screen. Finally, I've got my Android device. So this is a Google Pixel 2 XL. This has Google Cast, and the ScreenBeam supports Google Cast. It also supports Miracast. Depending on your Android device, it's going to use one of those two protocols. So I just need to open the settings menu, swipe down from the top of the screen, and then I pick Screencast. I see the ScreenBeam. I get a little nice friendly warning to make sure I'm sharing only content I intend to share, and then it comes right up. Now, just like with the other devices, we're seeing in portrait mode. If we come over to landscape mode in my camera app, if it'll follow, there we go. So now you're seeing the landscape view. And as you can see, the update speed is great. We're not dealing with like a significant amount of lag. We're getting great quality as we've got this video going on. And you can see that, I just made the presentation area look nice. Everything else is a little bit cluttered in here. But again, just like with our iOS device, we can use Office 365 and we can pull up, our PowerPoint and we can start driving our meeting from our handheld mobile device. And now we've got sort of our own presentation clicker, but again, one that we're a lot more comfortable with and a lot more familiar with. And so we can drive ourselves through that meeting experience using only our mobile device and our wireless display receiver. Now, one other cool feature on the ScreenBeam 1100 Plus is that you've got the ability, sorry, I got to disconnect from Cast first. Okay, there we go. So one other great feature of the ScreenBeam 1100 Plus, we recognize that there are times where you're going to have a device that's going to come in that's not going to support wireless display. For one reason or another, might happen. You might have another use case where you've got an in-room PC or, there's a ton of use cases. You probably know more than I do. So we also have an HDMI input on the 1100 Plus, and that HDMI input has the ability to auto sense and switch between wired and wireless display. So if I have a device in here that doesn't support wireless display, I can just take HDMI, connect to my device, and then it'll be sharing again. And now let's say I want to bring some content in back from my wireless source where I do support wireless display. I've got the ScreenBeam in quick switch mode right now, so I'm going to pick the receiver from the list. And in just a second, you're going to see that we're switching. Now we're on my laptop, which we left in extended mode, so it looks just the same as the other laptop. But if we come back to duplicate, we'll see there's my laptop. And if I were to go ahead and disconnect my wireless display, we would be back to our wired source input. So extremely flexible, great way to get connected with any device that might possibly come into the room. And now we're back to the ready to connect screen. And one last cool thing before we go, two last cool things. Number one, you do have remote management, so you can centrally manage all the ScreenBeams. You don't have to go out and visit each device for settings changes, firmware updates, all those kind of things. That becomes very impractical at scale. So central management is included with the ScreenBeam. And finally, one other great feature, we have the ability to use the digital signage player that's built into the ScreenBeam. So when the ScreenBeam is not in use for a wireless display session, we can have the ScreenBeam playing back some signage content. And this is signage content you've created somewhere else, and we're just going to feed that URL to the ScreenBeam. So we just have an HTML5 URL that I am going to give to the ScreenBeam. We've got two modes for this digital signage. It can either take up almost all of the screen and then just have a little banner with the receiver name here at the bottom, or we also have what we call framed mode, where you have more connection instructions here. That's great for newer users who are less familiar with ScreenBeam. But here in the full screen mode, now we see that this digital signage content is taking up almost our entire display. And once the content gets loaded, it'll just keep playing on repeat. It could even be a video with audio. You would just have to have that content hosted somewhere. So I hope you enjoyed this really quick overview of the 1100 Plus. And if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can get us at sales@screenbeam.com. And if you have technical questions or you need help, you can always reach out to me and my team, support@screenbeam.com. Thanks. Have a great day.